This episode of Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com.
And by Ting.com. Head over to last.ting.com and save $25 off your first device.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 27, Episode 9. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Hey, Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, can I tell folks about the big show?
I've been looking forward to it.
All right, here we go. So, this week, I have been inspired, Matt. I was inspired to set up my own private chat server right here at my house.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll cover how I did that, setting the server up on Linux, and how you can go from this complete XMPP server that can be federated, you can connect to remotely, or just something small, something quick on your LAN. And I'll even cover how you can set up local LAN chat in 2-3 minutes.
Sweet.
Totally
Good
secure
stuff.
and totally private.
I like that.
Yeah. And then in the /Etsy segment, we're going to review Deepin Linux 12.12. Got a chance to kick the tires on that bad boy. Got it running right here, as a matter of fact.
Good stuff.
We'll walk you through some. You know, they make their own desktop environment, Matt?
I know. It was just kind of like...
Yeah, it really is actually
Wow.
pretty interesting what these guys are doing. So we'll cover that. And, of course, we've got the news. And there's some big games that are hitting Linux. We'll show you a couple of those. I picked up a few Linux games on the Steam sale, too. So I'll cover those, too. There was
Nice.
a really big sale going on. I think it actually ended today.
So you scored them like right at that right time.
And I might have picked up a couple extras to give away to the Linux Action Show.
Giveaway.
Yeah, but first, Matt, it is our picks.
All right.
So let's start with the Runs Linux this week.
stuff.
I'm going to take a stab and say the Learning Stift.
Learning stuff?
Learning Stift.
Learning Stift.
It's the first pen that runs Linux.
That's important.
Yeah, it is. And it's a Kickstarter project, and they are, well, they're not too near their goal, but they still have 25 days left.
They got a ways to go.
I want to play this for you, though, because this is so great.
It's a cool concept,
It's
really.
a full-fledged pen. Here,
Yeah.
and I'll play a little bit of the video. It runs Linux.
It even writes. I mean, it's great. You know? It's like, whoa. It's cool, though.
Hi there, my name is Falk.
And I'm Daniel.
We are the creators of Lernstift, the first pen that vibrates when you make a mistake.
To make the idea and the technology behind it real tangible for you, we've made this video.
Film up.
What comes to your mind when you think about going to school and learning to write? Well, we believe learning should be fun, not frustrating.
Which is why we created Lernstift.
That's German for learning pen.
Lernstift is an
All right, so
innovative
it's a
application.
learning pen, and they add a Linux computer in there. In fact, here, I'll skip forward to where they describe it a little bit. There we go. Check this out, Matt. Look at the technology put in this tiny pen. So, look at this thing.
Lernstift is packed with technology. Its heart is a mini Linux computer.
Pretty much a
Looks
smartphone
like it's really
stripped
good
to
for
the
small
bone.
hands, too.
In the front, there's a non-optical motion sensor that recognizes all writing movements, even when you just write in the air.
Meaning, Lernstift requires neither paper nor additional recognition
Isn't that
devices.
cool?
That is
It's all in the
crazy.
pen.
Lernstift has built-in Wi-Fi, allowing it to connect to PCs and smartphones and to communicate with other pens in a network.
Not to
Mesh
mention
pen network.
social media sharing,
That's just
Lernstift to Lernstift gaming, and more.
An exchangeable refill is placed in front of the pen, and the battery sits in the back. And then there's the switch.
What's that for again?
Well, the pen will have two functions. Autography mode to recognize misspellings, and calligraphy mode to point out flaws of form and
I just
legibility.
think it's really
Then,
cool. I mean, as a
as
parent,
Where was
too.
that when we were growing up?
I know, as a parent, you could give this to your kids, and it helps them, it'll if they, like they were saying there at the end, if they don't write it correctly, if they can't do a cue correctly, it'll vibrate a little bit for them.
Oh, I like that.
And you can see they're also working on transcribing it there to that Android device. So
So you could do a reward system, theoretically, build
Yeah.
that into... Yeah, I mean, because you could literally expand that into just all kinds of
you
facets.
could gamify it in the
Yeah.
app. And
Oh, yeah.
what I find to be kind of remarkable about it is it's doing it without a camera. It's
that's
all just
cool.
based on movement, and they've got Wi-Fi in that thing, and it can talk to other freaking pens.
And it keeps the kid focused without a ton of distractions, you know.
So I want to forget the kid.
I mean, I could totally use one just because, I mean, I'm like ham-fisting my signature most days.
Yeah.
Right? It just, I could use a little help there.
oh, my handwriting has gotten so bad. It is
It's like my first initial and then,
Yeah.
afterward. That's just,
I'm embarrassed by my handwriting.
I can't. I blame keyboards.
All right, well, I got an app pick for the Android device that fits in with our theme for this week's episode. But first, Matt, I want to thank our sponsors this week, and that is GoDaddy.com.
Oh, Daddy.
GoDaddy.com.
Right on.
Now, GoDaddy.com, world's #1 domain name registrar, long-time sponsors of the Linux Action Show. Kind of ridiculous. I don't even.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think maybe
crazy amount of time.
I think if we didn't have an in with a special race car driver, I don't know if it'd still be going on.
That's
But
right.
Because of that in, we have got some of the greatest, bestest,
Good
most
stuff.
amazingest deals ever, thanks to GoDaddy
Hooked
and
you up.
Miss Patrick. Look, so this is the one I'm highlighting the most right now because it's
Okay.
for a limited time. When you're checking out with a new .com over at GoDaddy, if you use the code FREE3, FREE3 will get you free private registration when you check out.
Free 3 is
Free three.
free and number 3.
Number 3, Matt,
Number
not
3.
number 2.
Not number 2. Not number 1.
12. No.
No,
Free
three.
3. Now, that's awesome, right?
really
We've also got the .coms for $2.49, Linux $2.49 when you check out.
yeah.
Linux $2.49. And if you just want to take 32% off your entire order, go 32 off too.
That's my favorite because then you can just wipe the board.
Yeah, you want
Boom!
to get a whole bunch of stuff? Of course you
Boom!
do. You're a player, you're a baller.
Absolutely.
You get, just in case you might need it someday. You got to get it. That's what
Bam!
I'm saying.
Bam.
It's free 3. Go get that. Go get that free private registration too. And Linux $2.49 to get the .com for $2.49.
Get her done.
Thanks to GoDaddy. I have not only have they been great because they've been sponsors of our shows,
Right.
which has been a
Fantastic.
tremendous help. They've also been great professionally. I've used them as a contractor for a long time, and this is how I'm able to sit here now and do these shows instead of be constantly on the phone saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you know that .com you set up for us at backwardsholeinthewall.com registrar? Yeah, we don't have the login of that anymore, and we were wondering if you could
Yep.
contact them because it's your contact info on. You don't have to deal with any of that anymore because GoDaddy, they're the standard. They're the
right.
golden standard, and I actually consider it good customer service when I set up my clients in GoDaddy with the management panel and then give them access to it. To me, that's doing a good job.
Well, and I also like the fact that a lot of these hole-in-the-wall guys, you set everything up with them, you got everything set up, and then they're bought out by some weird third-name foreign thing. It gets sketchy. You know GoDaddy's going to stick with you, and they're going to be there.
Boom. So thanks to GoDaddy for sponsoring the Linux Action Show.
Love those guys.
All right, Matt, I got an app pick that I'm pretty excited about, and I saw it popping up online in our subreddit and a lot of other places on Google Plus a lot this week. And it's funny because there's another a project that's going on right now that one of the Pirate Bay founders is starting to do encrypted chat.
That's right.
But the biggest complaint, and we covered this on TechSnap, is that it's not open source.
That's true.
And when you're
that's a
dealing with
problem.
something that's for privacy and encryption, you want to be able to
want it to
have
be.
that transparency and that audibility, if that's a word.
I think so.
but
It's certainly relevant.
There's another one that's making quite a bit of waves, and this one is open source. It's called Shpot. And they say exceptional encryption for everyone. And the thing that there's a couple of things that really excited me about Shpot is, first of all, it has picture support.
I like that.
And every other encrypted chatting program that we've covered for Android doesn't support pictures. And as apparent, that's kind of the main thing I use messaging
Right.
for, is I message back and forth with my wife. Ridiculous, adorable pictures of our children.
Or you're at the grocery store and it's like, okay, it's that one thing you wanted. I don't know what the hell is this right? Click.
Yeah, actually, that's so. Ange was buying me some Fosters, and she didn't know what Fosters look like.
Right.
And so I took a picture of an old Fosters can and sent it to her while she's at the store, and then I get more Fosters.
Exactly right.
And if I don't do that, I don't get more Fosters.
no Fosters for you.
Not happy with that.
No.
Yeah. So picture support's a big deal, and one of the things that's nice about it is it's very simple to set it up. So there's a little extra layer because you have to link the two guys, the two accounts up, the other person you're texting
Certainly.
with. But they make this very easy. You can invite them via email, or if they're right there with you, like in the case of my wife, you can display a QR code for your private information.
Oh,
Or I
nice.
guess your public key.
Right.
And she scans that and automatically links up her Shpot text messenger with my Shpot text messenger.
So it does all the heavy lifting. So you're getting your privacy, you're getting your security, and it's I like that.
Yeah, and
It's cool.
this is end to end. It's encrypted by you. Nobody else gets access to it.
That's nice.
It's fully secured, and it's open source too. So people are checking it out and auditing it. And I believe, and now that I haven't installed, it doesn't say, but I believe it was free too. I'm very
so cool.
I'm very, very happy to see there's sort of been this resurgence in this area for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing is you can just turn off your cellular if you're worried about your cellular data, and this thing will
Right.
still text message over Wi-Fi.
That's right.
So there you go. So it's called Shpot. It's a free open source encrypted text messaging application. I say this is the one to watch.
I think so.
There's
I mean,
Text
you're not
Secure and
losing
there's
out on
other
your
ones.
pictures. That's the big thing for me.
That's a huge thing for me,
Yeah.
and the code's open. That's a big.
Gotta
that's a
love
big-
that.
Yeah.
Safe, secure, and functional.
All right, Matt. You want to try something live on air? Should we just give it a
do.
go? I don't know how this is going to work.
We'll give it a whirl. We're
We'll
gonna
see.
go
We'll see.
rogue here.
So my desktop app pick this week is a little crazy.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, I got to find it first.
Wild.
So, have you heard about this Firefox?
I have. Firefox is a thing.
Yeah,
they
have you
do
heard
stuff.
Have you heard about this Firefox OS? You've heard about this, all right?
I've heard about that.
Good
It's
news.
kind of a big thing.
Good news is my app pick this week.
Ooh.
And you can install Firefox OS if you have Firefox just by adding the simulator extension to the
nice.
Fox. Yeah, it's crazy. You can see right here I'm downloading.
Just wham, bam, bam.
It's
There
a
it is.
70 megabyte extension, so it
Real
takes
reasonable. Yeah.
if you have a good connection, just takes a few seconds to install.
Sure.
So here we go. This is the Firefox OS dashboard.
weird.
New version came out this week, 4.0. And they support recipes now. So you can go in, you can download recipes and things like that. But you can just turn on the simulator right there. Here's my Firefox OS running in a window.
Dude, that is so wow.
I'm running Firefox OS now, and here's
Oh my God.
here's the dialer UI, right? So this, I mean, and here's the home button. This really makes it feel like this is a real thing.
Speedy, it's natural, it's not
Yeah.
all, I don't know, Java based. It's
Yeah,
like-
so here, let's go to /dot, right? And so we can go see it.
Wow.
Or, if you're working on a website, you can make sure it's
Right.
rendering okay in the Firefox OS browser or
can't
whatever.
get over how zippy it is.
Yeah, it's running from my machine, but yeah, it is very fast. And so look,
Well,
I
it just
can
feels
scroll the
very
window there.
natural.
Yeah.
It's got all your functions. It's got your battery indicator, your clock. It's got
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Yeah. And you can pull down the notifications tray there, and you can go into the
Oh,
settings,
score.
and you get a little idea of what it's a very nice looking.
What a great way to say, I don't know if Firefox OS is for me. I've heard a lot about it, but I don't necessarily want to go buy a phone and figure it out later. You can try it out now and kind of say, yeah, this is kind of cool.
Chat room says I look very sleepy. I'm like, come on, to focus on the. I am very sleepy. I
He is
didn't
very
sleep very
sleepy,
much last
yes.
night. I should mention, maybe now is a good time. We'll get back to Firefox OS in
Sure.
a second. But my wife is very close to baby arrival time, our third one.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so there could be some impacts on the show schedule production.
Right.
So go to if a show's missing, if it doesn't show up in your feed, something like that, go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar.
That's probably the de facto. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to do it, but
We'll
that's
try to
what
do-
I follow.
Yeah, we'll try to do
you know.
social network postings too.
Sure.
But
the calendar's like the absolute no question about it. You're going to know what's going on.
But depending on when she pops, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to say what shows will be affected.
Sure,
and
sure. Mm-hmm.
so we'll keep the calendar up to date. And for this show, what we might try to do is, I don't know, do you stay up very late? Like,
Oh, yeah.
we might be able to just
I have no life. Yeah, I'm up all the time.
maybe after maybe we'll just do an off week episode
Sure.
when the kids go to bed. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I once she pops, I'll be picking up extra daddy.
Oh,
duties and
absolutely.
stuff.
Right. Yeah, whatever works for you, I'm easy.
So she's in that phase where she just cannot get comfortable enough to sleep.
course.
So she's tossing and turning all night. So yeah, last night was
Creating life. She's got a lot going on. I mean, it's late. Let's just.
well, except for I'm the one that doesn't sleep too. It's awful.
This is true. This is true.
So, anyways, back to the Firefox OS simulator. One last thing I just thought that was kind of neat, which is great for testing, is it also has GPS location simulator, so you can give it your
dude.
coordinates, and then it just tells it that's where you are to the apps that you're testing.
I am so playing with this one.
Yeah, you saw how easy it is to set up.
just brain dead.
Crazy fast,
Stupid
right?
simple.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like so much of the functionality is there.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
And with this dashboard, you can try out different builds and stuff like that. I just am really impressed with the way they've been. Talk about making something just crazy,
Right.
super easy for people to get their hands on. Because we've got a link in the show notes where it writes up about some of the capabilities and what you can do.
Oh, and I can see this being expanded upon over time.
Talk about easy entry, right? Though, because you think about some of the other mobile platforms out there. I'm thinking mostly of iPhone. You got like $100 fee to get in. You got to have a Mac.
Yeah.
Which is a huge cost overhead. You got Windows has their rules. Android has their rules. You got Canonical has their license agreements. But Firefox is
Firefox just does it.
here. It is.
Yeah.
It's really respectable.
Eula Schmoola. Here
Yeah.
it is. I don't care.
So go check out Firefox Simulator even if you just want to play with it. It's free and it installs within your Firefox browser with just a couple of minutes.
So what's really awesome, if you're a developer, check it out. If you just want to check out what it looks like, give it a whirl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Let's do the news.
Hey, it's the news, and this episode is brought to you by
Ting.com. Ting, Matt, is mobile that makes sense. And Ting is always introducing new and exciting features, and they're always changing things up. Now, Ting has been my mobile service provider since the beginning of the year. Absolutely love it. I've combined some of the greatest smartphones on the market now with some of the best mobile service on the market. Let me tell you a little bit about Ting. First of all, go to last.ting.com. That's going to save you $25 off your first device, or if you're going to bring your own device, it'll save you $25 off your first month's service. So that's a great
Score.
deal right there. Now, check out what they're doing these days, Matt. I love this. You just pay for what you use. You have more flexibility. Think of it as, instead of paying for a whole block of minutes that you're never going to use, you only pay for what you use.
It's like it's kind of like a real reasonable buffet. You know, it really is.
Yeah.
But it's low. It's actually probably cheaper.
It's like you go to the buffet.
Yeah.
You get all the stuff, and it's not like just one flat rate. It's like, okay, well, you had 2 rolls, and so you don't have to pay that huge fee.
And cake is data. So it's like, you
Right.
know what? Forget all this stuff.
Delicious
I want
data.
data.
Delicious, tasty data with delicious polka dot frosting.
You
So
bet.
they break out your rates by minutes, text messages, and megabytes, and they bill you at the end of the month for just whatever bucket that you fall into. It's very simple. Right now, for example, my current rate with 3 phones,
Three phones.
is like $30. $30.
Whoa!
It's fantastic. Now,
Whoa.
if I have 1
It's
month,
like $10 a phone.
it's no big deal. If I have
Jeez.
1 month where I use more, I don't stress about it. I just fall into that next bucket, and it's just automatically taken care of. And Ting has a very compelling dashboard that makes it very easy to see where you're at, see how much usage you have for whatever you have, for whatever, data, text, whatever it is that you're concerned about.
Right.
And they have an easy-to-understand plan page where you can go look at that and see what their different rates are and see what categories or buckets you might fall into.
So what's cool is that you can not only see what's going on in a current sense, but you can also project by planning.
If you think you need to worry, if you think, hey, I'm just curious where this is
Good
going to go,
stuff.
it's not a mystery. They put it all up there in a very easy to understand UI. Ting's website is beautiful, clear, easy to follow. And by the way, everything you do on here with your account, if it's adding a new phone, activating a new device, absolutely simple to do. Couple of clicks, a few minutes, and you're done. I've added 2 phones to my accounts just by going to the website, clicking a few buttons, and I'm all set up. But if I ever got stuck, I don't have to worry about it because they have excellent customer service. If you call 1-855-TING-FTW anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern, a real person who will actually be able to solve your problem will answer the phone. Ting
Like that.
hires customer service reps who in their social groups were like the person that was the tech support person.
That's awesome.
So
you're
they
dealing with
hire
knowledgeable
people who are inclined to be tech support people.
That's so cool.
And they can fix your problem. They understand what you say when you say, I'm having a problem with this. They know what that actual thing might
They're
mean.
not reading off a script. They're actually working with you to solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great. And, I've just been totally thrilled with Ting. So go to last.ting.com
Nice.
to get yourself an unlocked smartphone that you just pay for what you use. And thanks to Ting for sponsoring the Linux Action
Big
Show.
thanks to that. You
Love Ting. Okay, Matt.
All
now,
right.
I sometimes have a hard time choosing what to put at the top of the news doc.
That's tough because there's so many great things to choose from. You know?
This week, though, Matt, I said
yeah.
it's going to be about video games. 'cause These
Absolutely.
make me smile. Dota 2, Valve's Dota 2, which has been in development for a while, is coming to Linux.
Oh.
This is one of those where it was earlier in the week it was announced, and I thought, oh man, what am I going to get my hands on this? Is it going to
Yeah.
work on Arch? And then, within hours, we had the answer to all of these questions. So if you have Dota 2, you can go sign up for the beta on the Steam's website, and then it'll show up in your Steam library, and you can just install it.
Just automatically, essentially.
Yeah, Dota 2 is the sequel of Dota 1, obviously. It's proven to be a highly popular title. I have friends who have been looking forward to its release for, I think, years, actually.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd do a little demo of it.
Right on.
Just now, I don't really know anything about Dota 2. I've just started trying it out, but here it is. I got it loaded right here.
Oh, very cool.
And it's got some good epic music. And I'll show you as far as I can get right now, which is the training. But it's very pretty.
Very cool. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Got some sound effects.
Oh, Matt, this game has got all the fancy you could ever.
Nice. I like the fancy.
Now, the way I kind of understand the way this thing works is there's kind of like lanes.
Okay.
And there's groups of bad guys in these lanes.
I bring the spark.
Oh, this is cool. That's like that.
Yeah, cool, right? Isn't that
That's
cool?
awesome.
Yeah.
It's very and visually it's impressive. I find
Yeah, and the UI is very smooth.
calls
So here
the
you can see how it just moves around with my mouse.
Yeah. It's not jagged or jerky at all.
This is my dude,
My blade.
and I order him around. You're familiar with this kind of game,
yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This is one of these games that I've really kind of just been like, not available for Linux, not affected, not thinking about it.
Well, and
now all
it's
of a sudden-
attractive. It's fun.
all of a sudden it's here, right? And I'm like, so now I need to learn what this game's all about, because I know groups of guys who get up on Skype and they play for hours and hours and hours.
I could see someone getting sucked into this big time.
Yeah, there's a very competitive online aspect to it,
Right.
which I guess is their big part of it. So they do team plays and.
Wow.
So that's Dota 2. It's available as testing for free if you go sign up on
That's so
Valve's website.
awesome. Can't beat free.
And it plays great. I've probably played it for a grand total of
Wow.
I don't know, 15 minutes.
Well, it just looks really appealing. That my biggest frightening thing would be is that I would never leave. I would totally get sucked into it. you know?
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
That's possible, Matt. That's
Possible.
possible. That's possible.
Good stuff, though.
So go check out Dota 2. This is one of those games where
pivotal.
it is a huge game in the industry. It's one of Steam's most active online multiplayer games. The development has been closely watched by the industry, and now I think, and I could be wrong, but I think this represents one of the very first AAA titles that is shipping simultaneously for Windows and Linux. Right?
That by itself is a big deal. That puts Linux at a whole new level.
No and not, which I didn't even know this because I'm not very familiar with Dota 2 yet. He says it's worth mentioning that there's a $2 million prize pool for a Dota 2 tournament called the International. Yeah, they have these big tournaments. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I didn't know there's a $2 million prize on it.
So in theory, and this is very loose theory, you could really bank on learning this game. I mean, like you could just totally throw caution to the wind, right?
I want to take a step back and be like, that Linux user who's been here through the thick and thin now, and this feels really huge to me because this is like a very highly anticipated game, and just out of the box, day one, it's available for Linux. I think it's a big score,
big time.
So that's awesome.
That's cool, and I love the $2 million game tournament thing. I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
$2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah, we could have some other big games coming to Linux, including some cool space games that are in development if everything works out. Remember Crytek?
Oh, yes.
Are you familiar with those guys that make the Cry engine? You might be familiar with Crysis.
Yep.
Chat room, what's the name of that space game they're working on right now that was a Kickstarter that uses the Crytek engine? The Crysis folks, the CryEngine folks, are hiring for a Linux developer. They want somebody to maintain their 3D engine. Turns out they already have a port of the CryEngine to Linux. It's already been ported. It just hasn't been maintained for a little while, and they need somebody to come and continue that. Now, you never know. Maybe somebody will show up and say, I got to throw this out.
Good.
But the game right now that people are looking forward to the most, thanks to the chat room, Star Citizen. This Star Citizen game, I gotta show this to you.
Yeah, let's check this out.
It's like some of the best graphics I've ever seen in a space shooter, because it's using that amazing Crysis engine for space rendering.
Right.
So they got
if they wanted 500K, they get 2
Yeah, they wanted 500,000. They got 2 mil for Star Citizen. Let's see. I want to find a video for you.
In the wrong business. Man, holy cow.
I know.
$2 million.
Makes you wonder. We should do a video
really
game.
need to re-examine this whole Kickstarter thing.
We should do a video game, man.
Just saying, yeah.
All right. Well, here's a little bit of here's some older gameplay footage. This is from GDC. Let's find something newer. That's 2012.
Yeah, that's going back.
Well,
that'll work.
Give you a little taste of what it looks like, maybe.
It's this, but cool.
Looks cool. So look at that ship graphic there.
That's cool. Oh, I'd play that. Some good attention to detail. Really good attention to detail.
Look at that.
That's actually really gorgeous. I don't know if you're seeing it at quite the level we are, but it is really gorgeous.
Yeah, for you audio listeners, it's a little BSG looking, but more military, a little more aircraft carrier style ship. Looks incredible. In fact, this isn't even the best render. I've seen a better render than this.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, this is from 2012. I saw a render from a couple of months ago that looked even more incredible. It looked like the metal looked just more real.
So this is like a lesser rendering of okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gonna have a very my understanding is a very fast-paced space shooter, land, get out, shoot a bunch of stuff, kill a bunch of stuff, teamwork, get back in your spaceship, space shooter.
Right on. Yeah.
I hope. Anyway, so
I like it. Oh man, that's really good.
I know, and so these developers want to make a Linux version. There's just a few of the tech pieces that are missing. If the Crysis guys can get that working, I would think then we would see this show up on Linux.
I'd totally play that.
Because the developers have showed interest.
Hopefully that happens, because that is awesome.
Yeah, that looks really incredible. Now, one more commercial game to talk about before we move on. And, of course, we love our open source and free games. But every now and then, you got to spend a little time talking about these commercial games because I think it's huge. They're milestone games for desktop Linux. There's one that's, you know me, love me a side shooter. It's called Gateways.
Okay.
And it's been available for a little while, but it was on sale this weekend, so I picked it up. So I thought I'd show it to you a little bit, Matt. And it's a side scroller. I loves me the side scroller.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's got a real fun kind of like mad scientist vibe to it.
I love those. Yeah, those are fun.
and it was like $2 on the Steam sale.
Well, you can't beat that with
No,
a
it
stick.
was-
That's less than coffee.
That's true. All right, so here I'm gonna start it
We're
up.
already off to a good start. That's how I felt this morning.
So here's my dude.
Okay.
You see, I'm walking around inside a science lab,
That's cool.
and I'm getting energy cubes.
Oh, yeah, I'd play this. This is cool.
And these are broken. Those are broken test tubes. Can't jump on those.
Like beers or something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's just it's a little objective-based stuff.
Just for some casual gaming. Be fun for kids, I bet.
Yeah, and that's always the kind of thing I'm always looking for. Is so watch. I'll just show you this guy. So the way you get bad guys is a little Mario-esque. You jump on their heads.
Okay, nice.
Or you get hurt by them like I do.
When you hit those little blue balls of light, I assume those actually are just power-ups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. See,
Oh,
I wanted to show you the
nice.
blood splatter. Yeah.
Chunky!
So there you go. So that's and so the point of gateways is eventually. This is so early in the game I can't show you, but eventually you start opening up portals and gateways and moving around and stuff.
Oh, okay, so you're kind of traveling throughout the world. Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
Interesting.
Then I get there's been the whole slew of great games on Steam this week, so it's been fun. It's been fun.
Check
we'll have
them
links
out.
to all that stuff in the show
Good
notes.
stuff.
All right, let's talk about KDE.
All right.
I switched back to KDE this week. One of the reasons I'm so damn tired, I stayed up too late customizing KDE.
Nice.
Because there's a lot of customizations to be had. Well, over on Phronix, I caught this article. KDE might move to a 3-month release cycle. Matt, what say you?
3-month release cycle. Boy, I'm going to tell you, it sounds great on paper. It sounds great in theory. And Bleeding Edge can have its merits, but I think overall that might be moving a little fast because maybe some of the polish that we have come to know with KDE is going to get missed or maybe put off to later. Maybe it's next 3 months. We'll get it later on. That kind of thing. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical.
So here is their here's their new goal.
Okay, their goal.
So keep this in mind. See if this tempers your skepticism, Matt.
Okay.
So if you recall, they're beginning to gear up to work on KDE 5.
Right. Sure.
And they're trying to make the KDE 4.11 and 4.12 releases very stable, very feature complete, so that way they can kind of fill the gap of time while KDE 5 is under heavy development.
Makes sense. Gives them a fallback. Sure.
So they say the reason for this release change proposal is to reduce the amount of time between releases and making them simpler so that new features can be delivered to users faster. With KDE striving to be an always in a releasable state, this release proposal could potentially work for KDE SC 4.12 and beyond. 2 months will be given for the merging of new features, allowed by 1 month for preparing their release.
I think what's going to happen is it's going to be like KDE's always been, to where, like when what was it, 4.0, everybody was still using 3, whatever it was, because everybody felt like it was more stable. I think that's just going to perpetuate that standard. I think you're going to have these, these basically the 4.x whatevers that are going to be really stable, and I think all the 5 stuff's going to be pretty loose and fancy free, and I think most distros are probably going to avoid it. At least unless you're in a testing phase. Arch users will certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an Arch user, I'm kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah,
it means every 3 months I'll get an update to KDE.
Bleeding Edge distros, I think, will rock it. I think the stable distros will probably balk at the idea.
Well, they'll just snapshot it at the appropriate time, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I think they may be shooting themselves in the foot.
You think they're going to introduce too much instability?
I think so. I like the goal. I love the idea. I think it should be available in that fashion, but I think that nature's going to take its course, and I think some of the older stuff's going to end up being kind of the de facto way to go.
Yeah, I kind of do. I see where you're coming from there.
Hope I'm wrong.
Here's my thought: is it seems like I don't know if it's a switch to Arch, but it seems like all open source software should just always be rolling. Everything.
Sure.
Like my word processor should be rolling.
Right.
And it's just the only problem is you can slip in bugs, right? And then they can cause problems, and you kind of have to balance that. And Canonical's working on that with their Ubuntu dailies, where they go through these rigorous automated testing processes,
Right.
and that can help.
Well,
But you have to have a whole testing infrastructure around that, and so use case
Right.
scenarios and things like that. It seems like a big overhead. I feel like as an Arch user, I'm all on board. I want this.
Right. Yeah, I think for your bleeding edge distributions, makes absolute sense. Love it. Bring it. Let's do it. But I think for the more stable distributions, I think that they themselves will probably retract a little bit.
I think to me
So,
that it
I don't
seems
know.
like when you do something like this is when you've just released a big point release. Like when they hit KDE 5, I could see it would make sense to do 3-month release cycles then, because there's a lot of things they're probably going to
Right.
need to kind of tighten up with KDE
Sure,
5.
sure.
So when you have a new release, you want to iterate to sort of resolve all of those issues that are hanging
Right.
around. But it seems like as your release gets more stable and more mature, you kind of would slow down. It'd be more like a once every 6 months.
Yeah. I would think so. I mean, I guess I'm torn because I completely get the logic behind it. I see the value in it. I just don't feel like it's a one-size-fits-all solution for everybody because different distributions have different goals and different needs. And so, thankfully, they will be, like I said, fine-tuning some of the later 4 point dot whatever stuff, and that's cool. But I definitely have some concerns that we may, I don't know, it could backfire.
So they say what they're going to try to do is, since they'll be decreasing the amount of time in testing, it'll be specifically important that only features that are reviewed and stable are merged into master. So stating another way, master should be always in a state where we can make a release from it. So everything will get tested before it goes into this 3-month merger or 2-month merger window.
Okay. Well,
we'll see, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Please prove me wrong. That would be so awesome. It would be cool to see this work just flawlessly. Super cool. I'd love that.
I got something that we got another big release. Big release.
Big release.
New version of Wayland 1.2 is out. Now, here's why this is worth noting on the big show.
Besides Monkey Suit.
Well, it is sort of fun to count down to that. No, this is the big story.
Okay.
This is the big story. Stable Wayland server API.
Oh, now that's a big deal.
So now we've got a stable API people can write to. This is huge. This is big, I think. Also, kind of fun and interesting. You kind of give you a little peek of how maybe future software is going to work. New color management for Wayland, and is implemented in 2 different schemes in Weston.
Interesting.
A simple CMS plugin that reads the profile from Weston.ini, and a more advanced plugin which integrates with ColorD. And here's a screenshot of this color management program working with GNOME. So GNOME is able to talk directly to Weston and manage the color profile for color calibration, or maybe you like to do like the Redshift flux thing where you're at night you change the colors or whatever.
I can think of a number of people that really want this. Actually, that's pretty compelling.
It's awesome, right?
That's really awesome.
So they're able to now they're having to write these tools for GNOME, but they're able to talk directly now to that layer, and I think
they're doing it with the API. I think
this is pretty cool.
I think it's extremely cool, and it makes me wonder where Mir is going to then. Are they going to have something comparable?
No. In fact, they've stated that they have no intention of maintaining a stable API, and that updates may break it. Now, I'm not saying that to sound hostile, because their goal with Mir is to have to be able to push it any direction.
Yeah, and I get they have different goal sets, and that's
Wayland's
fine,
just to work across as many systems as possible, so that it's more important for them.
I think the market's going to handle it. I think that people are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Speaking of Wayland, this is kind of fun. If you want to play with it, you don't have to go get Rebecca Black Linux. You can go get the new Wayland Live CD, which includes this new 1.2 release.
Nice.
This one's really cool, too, though. Let me see if it says in here, because I don't know if... Yeah, it does. I've also... He says this in the announcement.
Okay.
He says, I've also recently rebuilt all of the external packages so that the latest fixes and features in GTK+, Qt5, STL, and EFL are in here, and they work with Wayland. So developers who are writing in those toolkits can get in with this live CD and play around now with Wayland. They've got the patched version of GTK Plus and Qt5 that support
Is
Wayland.
it me, or does it feel like Wayland's just absolutely got the pedal to the floor?
metal?
Definitely like literally just hitting metal at that point.
What was it? Was it Jala? There was the Phone OS that announced this week that they'd be shipping out of the box using Wayland as their display manager. They're going to have to write some of their own code to sit on top of that, but that's no big deal for them, for a phone manufacturer.
I feel like that what's happening is, Ubuntu's got their Mir stuff, and that's awesome, but it definitely feels like it's really going to stick with Ubuntu stuff.
Yeah.
And that probably will work well for them, but Wayland is really pushing the X out of the way.
I think by Christmas, by December, we will see a decent amount of people running KD on top of Wayland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. From what I'm reading and seeing, I'd say it's just a matter of time.
They're working on K1 right now, and it's funny how it's just lit on fire.
Yeah,
really
it was kind of like just a few months ago. It was like, oh, now it's like, whoa, hello.
So it's anyways, Live CD is available. It's 1.7 gigabytes. So you might need to...
That's got some size to it, but it's doing some cool stuff.
Is this Rebecca Black Linux? It might be. I don't know.
Probably.
Oh. It's a great name. Okay, I want to talk about the story that it came out on ZDNet about OpenSUSE and supporting their customized distros. So SUSE Studio lets anyone quickly create their own customized Linux distribution. We've played around with that here on the show. And SUSE is going to have sort of a support infrastructure in place to enable that. Once your special blend Linux is ready to run, you can then deploy it to a variety of formats, including CD, DVD, or USB images, or virtualization, which is really cool. And the SUSE Studio product manager, Andreas Jager wrote, if you run a SUSE Linux Enterprise server image and have a valid subscription for it, we would support you under the same conditions if you install the product directly from the installation media. So I believe I'm taking that to mean you can kind of customize your own SUSE Enterprise as long as it's based on their core
Sounds like
distro.
it,
They're
yeah.
going to support it. And, you know,
like that.
you're using their tools to make it. You're using their base. Kind of makes sense.
So yeah, so it kind of covers their bases, and then in turn they'll cover yours.
When you create a SUSE Linux-based distribution or application, SUSE Studio creates this supportability report for each SUSE Linux Enterprise appliance. The report executes an automated analysis of the generated appliance and uses heuristics to determine out what SUSE will support.
Nice.
That's kind of cool.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of like, oh, hey.
Gosh, you know, each different distros just have some of the coolest technology. If they could all just bear hug, you know?
You're right. You can like get the best of all worlds, you know?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So anyways, go check out SUSE Studio. Good fun can be had, and you can create your own custom Linux distro inside a web page and then try it out in a VM on their
That's
site.
so sweet.
For free.
So sweet.
So why would you not do that?
Right.
That sounds fun. All right, last story of the week before we get into some of the meat.
Yeesh.
One more Kickstarter project for you. Wow. Jeez, did they hit? Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not surprised. When I watched that video, I was like, these guys are... Because at first I'm like, I don't understand. And then they did the comparables. I was like, oh, dude, that's amazing.
I think I backed this project, and I think I backed it.
Do you get one?
I think I signed up so we get two, so I could give you one,
dude,
too.
that would be so cool.
Yeah, all right, so... so it's called Plug, and it runs Linux, and it's a Kickstarter project. It's called The Brain of Your Devices, and it's sort of like a Dropbox BitTorrent sync replacement. It all runs inside this cigarette-sized, or smaller even, Linux machine, and then you hook up a USB drive. I'll play a little bit of the video.
Yeah, it's really tough to... It took me a minute to kind of get my head around it, because like, why it's different, but it's cool.
Hi, Kickstarter. I'm Tarek, and I'm going to present you Plug. I was thinking one day that our lives are so much better now that we have multiple devices. I can take pictures with my smartphone, edit them on my laptop, and watch them on my iPad. The thing is, it is still hard and time-consuming to share my documents between my devices. Even today, I have hard drives, cables, and even cloud folders, but I still need to manually copy, move, upload, and download my files to make them available from everywhere. It's like each one of our devices is great in itself, but nobody ever bothered to make them really work together as a whole. I mean, take storage. I don't want my devices to have their own memories. I want all my devices to share the same memory. My own memory. I know it's almost there, but we really think we can take it to the next level, and that's why we've built Plug. Plug is a small device that improves the way we store our data. With Plug, you can give a second life to your regular USB drives. Connect Plug to your home internet. Connect your USB drive to Plug, and Plug will centralize your files. It will store all your documents, pictures, music, videos from all your devices.
It actually sits at the file system layer, I think,
at home.
of the client
Plug
machine.
creates a unique place dedicated to you. It transforms your hard drives into a common memory of your devices. Before, all your devices had different files. Now, this is over. Your files are in Plug. And you just use your PC, Mac, iPhone, or tablet to display them. They're just like frames through which you can see your content. The size of your devices doesn't matter anymore. What matters is how much storage you have on Plug, and you can add more anytime. There is no more synchronization, no more worries about which device you're using. Even on a brand new
So
computer,
he shows right here a little bit of the
plug
client
in,
software, and this is part of the
Apple
secret
make
sauce,
all
I
the
think,
files
is
here. Your
it's
files
everywhere
directly
on the file
from
system.
Exactly.
And it brings all of them in sync, so like
You can also select
it's
files
like this
for online
versioning
viewing,
sync across all of
like
them.
you would do on Spotify.
And it also has, like you can go back in time a little bit too, which is interesting.
Which Dropbox has some of that, but it's in that
But they
specific
do a
Dropbox
comparable
folder.
to what here's the Dropbox comparables when it really clicked with me. When they do the comparable in this video, it was like, oh,
Oh, okay.
that's like when it clicked, because that's like, oh, that is different. Okay.
And I do like how you know, it's one of the things he talks about is you can hook up a USB hub, and then you could have like 5 or 6 hard drives hanging off this thing. Now,
Exactly.
For me, I'm not sure because I have a FreeNAS box. I don't know if I really need something like this, but for like my mom, who is a independent graphic artist who kind of has large files that she needs to keep synced across a couple of machines, likes to be able to send files to clients. This could be a really good solution for her, and it's something that
Won't have the storage local. I mean, that's kind of the...
See, I'm all about that these days, is having it here on my local LAN. That's a huge deal for me.
Yeah, here's the versioning right here.
Yeah.
See, that's... Okay, that's nice.
Whatever happens.
Anywhere on the system there.
Yep, on any computer in your
It adapts to your everyday life.
And the fact, and the
Most of your
expandability that it's
content.
not like it's individual drives. It's just like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like personal cloud, but it definitely goes a step further.
even
Dropbox,
works with your
as they'll get
TV.
into here in a minute.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can do
how
media
does-
too. That which I was like,
also save you a lot.
I was like, eh.
You can get the smallest iPad in price and memory.
Yeah, this is okay. Here's where it
Do you
is.
think this is
Thanks to
okay?
plug?
Because
With a
like your
simple
mobile
USB
devices,
hub,
you don't
can
care about your
connect
SD card
as
anymore. It
many
doesn't matter.
regular hard drives as you want
See.
to your plug. It means that when you need more storage, you can add 2 terabytes to your plug for only $100,
Now wait till they do the Dropbox.
which is the price of a
It really
drive.
clicks.
In comparison, a Dropbox the same size will cost you about $800 a year, and you don't even own the storage. That's it, you know everything. We've been working on Plug for over 2 years, and we're really happy to share it with you today.
It's interesting.
Now to go further, we need your help. We need to collect enough funds to start our first batch of production, and we cannot do it
Well, you've done
without
that.
you.
Yeah, you can access
back
Dropbox
this
from anywhere, but
project.
the
We'll
key
be-
factor to remember is based on what I'm understanding, you theoretically could access this from anywhere.
Yeah, it looks like they have a mobile app.
They
It
have
looks
a
like
mobile
they have
app.
desktop app.
And not to mention it's
so
portable
it
anyway.
looks like unlike Dropbox where it's contained to a single folder. It
Right.
looks like this is more like a file system layer integration, which I find that to be kind of interesting. And he makes a point too where it actually would almost maybe appear to the operating system that is the storage, because he mentions that you add the disk and it expands across all of them.
Well, 2 use case scenarios that I'm interested in trying when they come in is, one, can I have a dedicated home across my network? I mean, like, just as a kind of a mind blow, it's like if I'm running, you know, essentially very similar setups to where I have the same home regardless of what machine
Yeah,
I'm on.
exactly.
And then of course for media, you know, take it from a kind of a shared pooled media setup. It's like, but I think the dedicated home would be an interesting experiment because that you're not really wanting to do that with Dropbox. Not as much stuff as I have.
Yeah.
That'd get pretty pricey.
Yeah, you know,
it'd be a nightmare, all
I
this
love that
syncing.
it's Linux powered.
Yeah, I love it's Linux powered and just uploading and downloading stuff from Dropbox. That's slow.
Their slogan is "No dark side of the moon. Plug as storage is private, secure, and protected." And I want to go back to that.
Okay.
I think
Security.
that's sort of this is Dropbox level easy with your own controlled and owned storage that is private.
Exactly. Instead of having to go through the process of setting up like your own setup, the old-fashioned way, you're able to use this device and it's just drag and drool simple,
I guess it also supports DLNA too,
which is cool.
so you can use it. That's
API?
How that's
Ooh,
how it
hey.
streams to the. That's how it streams to your TVs. It uses DLNA.
Like the API, because then you can, of course, expand on that as you wish.
You know, he also makes a good point that when you buy additional Dropbox storage, and you know, by the way, let's see, I'm using 192 gigabytes of Dropbox, right? And I'm paying out the butt for that.
Oh, you're paying out the butt, and not only that,
At the end of the day, I don't get to own it.
You got a ginormous set of media. You've just done a whole bunch of family movies, and you got to wait for that to upload. Really? Come on.
Right. Well, there's that. When you do it, when I do a local LAN, I
Right.
get gigabit speed.
Exactly.
Internet connection is not going to beat that. But there's also and the point that resonates with me is if I'm spending $40, $50, $60, $70, $100 a year with Dropbox, I could be spending that on a 2 terabyte hard drive.
Exactly, and keeping it local and secure.
Yeah.
Being PRISM free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just in TechSnap, you know, about once a month we cover some new Dropbox security flaw. Thursday, we just talked about the freaking two-factor authentication flaw they have.
Yep.
So there you go.
Exactly.
Anyways,
stuff.
Matt, it's an interesting look, and they're coming. They still have time to fund it if you want to get in on the pre-order goodies. They've been funded.
Yeah, their goal was
bit.
69. They get 302. I'm telling you, man, the Kickstarter projects have been on fire.
Yeah, well, there's anything that's Prism related. I think anything that there you go, and they're from Denmark. So,
wow, yeah.
Where are they from? Newark.
Newark. Okay.
There you go, Matt. So
Cool.
that's all the news for this week. Recent events have made me evaluate my instant messaging situation, Matt.
Good timing.
Yeah, specifically, there's been some announcements around Google transition away from XMPP for their chat system with the introduction of Hangouts,
Right.
which is kind of a bummer. You've got a lot of the NSA stuff around Skype and how it's being monitored. And I thought, services change, systems get monitored. Why not just roll my own LAN chat?
Take
and not worry
control
about
over
it?
your privacy.
Right? Exactly. So this week, I was inspired to roll my own chat server and get that problem finally solved. And I'm going to give you a little demo of how I did it and how it works and all of that stuff.
Good stuff.
But first, I want to thank this week's segment sponsor, System76.
Woo!
Creators of the best machines designed to run Linux. You see that beautiful Ultra Pro
Gorgeous.
right there?
Oh, I want one
Do you
so
know how
bad.
jealous I am right now? Michael Dominic from Coda Radio just ordered one of those.
Seriously?
Yeah. So he's going to have one. He's going to have one special custom built for him, and
my
they're going to send
goodness.
him. Now, these machines are just top of the line, excellent workhorses to begin with. I punish this Bonobo. After it gets done driving all of the visuals for the
Yes.
Linux Action Show, I disconnect it and I bring it back into my office, and then I make it encode video for hours. I mean, this thing is a workhorse, and I got to tell you, it never misses a beat. I love my Bonobo Extreme, and I've run all different flavors of Linux on it. Everything works great. Hardware key control, so that way I can change the backlighting of the keyboard without having to have any soft controls. So it doesn't
That's
matter what
really
distro I load,
nice.
I always have control over that stuff.
That stuff matters. It's attention to detail.
And you see, like
that.
all of these, like you can see right here in the KD, like you know, all my function keys work. There's my brightness settings there.
that's cool.
There's my volume settings there. All out of the box. Everything just works. I don't have to set up and load anything or anything like that. I absolutely love it, and it's got just incredible build quality too. All of the System 76 machines have been thought through from top to bottom to make sure they're fantastic experiences. They're products. They're products built around Ubuntu Linux.
That's right.
Go check them out at system76.com and tell them the Linux Action Show sent you.
Absolutely.
All right, so I thought I'd start with a little demonstration of the capabilities that I assembled this week here at the Jupiter Broadcasting compound.
Right on.
I started with rolling my own XMPP server called Porosity.
Prosody?
Prosody. And it is a simple XMPP server written in Lua, open source, totally free. And I've paired that with a chat program that you and I've talked about before.
Oh, yes.
Jitsi.
Love us some
So here
Jitsi.
I'll fire up Jitsi, and I have my wife upstairs right now.
Yeah.
And we've been using Jitsi. We had a couple of requirements with our instant messenger. Got to support picture exchange and file exchange. And Pigeon is awesome XMPP client, totally great.
Sure.
Compete, Epiphany,
There's a lot of them.
a lot of them, but most of them suck when it comes to some of the more advanced features like file transfer or image transfer.
Image transfer is usually
or
it's painful.
one that is important to me, video calls.
That's right.
So here's a video call. Hi, you guys. There's my wife and my daughter. Hello.
Got some superheroes in the house.
Hi, Abby. The audio is a little glitchy, but this here is a 720p video call over my local chat server.
So this is done locally.
Yeah, and it's
that's
encrypted
cool.
too on top of that.
Oh, that's nice.
And this is Ann. She's up in her office. She's on a Mac right now, so it's cross-platform.
Very cool.
And hi, you guys. Are you guys being good for Mom? Dylan, are you being a good Iron Man? Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Keeping
Good.
everybody safe.
All right,
That's good.
And
There he is.
Ange, would you? I'm going to hang up. Would you mind showing them how a picture transfer works? Will you send me a picture? All right, thanks.
Cool.
So, bye, you guys. Thanks for coming on the show. Bye. And what's great is you and I have demonstrated on Jitsi before. You can go in there and say, "Okay, Jitsi, use these encoding parameters." And you look at my CPU, not so hot.
Very reasonable usage.
And then she's sending me a picture
How
right there
fast
in
that
the
was.
chat.
And this is where that local stuff I think really comes in. It's like,
oh yeah,
boom.
oh yeah, totally great. And there's the picture.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
So that's
cute.
So when you combine your own local chat server with a really full-featured chat client like Jitsi, and now the great thing about Jitsi is I can add other chat networks as well. So I could have our local private chat server, and I could be on Google Talk, right? So I could also be on the public chat system if I want.
Right.
And sometimes, depending on what I'm needing, Pigeon will do the jerb. Totally could do the jerb, but and by the way, it's a simple matter of just click and drag in Jitsi too, which I think is really kind of an important element. So
It's little niceties like that, I think, that really set it apart.
yeah, so if I go in here to pictures, and let's say I wanted to send her this Arch, because, Ange loves Arch Linux,
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
So if I click and drag, I can just pop it right into the text
Oh,
filter.
and depending on where you drag it, you have it in the right spot because it either does a little, little plus or not plus.
And then send it to her. Now she has it. You see, that was a megabyte.
Oh, that's
that was
cool.
a megabyte picture that just sent instantaneously.
Even gives you the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love geeking out that it gives me the file transfer.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that.
So when you combine Jitsi, which is just getting better and better all the time, Jitsi's been around for like 10 years.
They have. And, they're putting a lot. They've got sponsors. They got effort going into it. Good stuff.
Good, because it needs to stick around.
They need to keep going.
So what did I do? I combined it with Porosity, that modern, flexible XMPP client. And it is so depending on what you want to do with your XMPP client, you have a server, you have a couple of choices.
Sure.
Just do something local that only you can talk to on your LAN. And when you do this, the security considerations are a lot more minimal, right?
That's absolutely, because I mean, once you got your decent firewall in place, what you do in your own LAN is your own business.
Right, and you don't really have, like, you can use their built-in certificates. That's not such a big deal. You don't have to worry about all of that. However, one of the great things about XMPP is if you do take the right precautions, it supports federated modes where you can communicate with people on other XMPP servers.
Right.
You could connect remotely through your LAN connection. So you have the option when you're setting up Porosity, you could spend 5 minutes, you install it, you configure some of the basics, and then you set up a user. In fact, let me see if I can...
Yeah, let's try that.
See if I remember where the config file's at here. There we go. Porosity. It's so, not to scare you. Not to scare you. This is a little bit of a warning.
Okay.
It is written in Lua, the config.
Oh. So that might seem a little foreign.
It might, but here, take a look at the... that's not the right file at all. I don't remember which... Oh, there it is. There it is. I see it.
Oh, the glossed it.
So you have to kind of have to keep in mind that it's probably not like any other config file you've worked with before, unless you've worked in
So
Lua.
it's going to be a little new, a little different.
Oh, gosh, I should read what it's actually saying.
There we go.
I'll pull it up. So there you go. So here's a Lua config file for you if you've never seen one. You have your comments are delineated by these dashes, so anything with a dash isn't processed.
Oh, so instead of a pound sign. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you have like your nice to haves, and you can see how like here's a comment, and then here's all the modules. That's actually
well, it looks like
loaded.
they're giving you lots of information as far as what you need to be aware of, what you're doing, what not to screw with.
It's very well documented in the config file. And if you want to just do a basic local, XMPP chat server, all you need to do is change about 3 lines in the config file. I have that linked.
So you've
in
got
the
the documentation for that on what they need to do. Okay.
There's about 3 lines you change. You add your users, and you're set up to go. You can point Pigeon at it, or you can point Jitsi at it, and it's super, super straightforward.
That's cool.
If you don't generate your own certificate, you just have to make sure you tell your client to accept anything.
Right.
And you're set. You're done. And if you don't want network chat, if you don't want internet chatting, you're good to go. Now, this would probably work well for a small business or a household full of 3 or more people.
Video intercom, dude. Video intercom, right?
Right? There, you could deploy this honestly at a business and have internal chat set up at your company over your LAN within 15-20 minutes. It's pretty powerful.
That could, there's possibilities popping into my head left and right now. That could be cool.
I want to show you a couple other options you could have if you don't want to go the whole route of setting XMPP, but you still want local, secure, off the internet chat.
Right.
You know me, Matt. I'm all about keeping it on the LAN, because if you keep it on the LAN, you know it's safe, you know it's secure, you know it's private, it's fast, and it's reliable.
That's right.
Those are all perks for me.
Absolutely.
I want to tell you about a little program that I call IPTux.
IPTux.
You ever heard of it?
I've heard of it.
IPTux is just a LAN chat program, and it is about as dead simple as it gets. Uh-oh. I think I installed it last night. I actually found it.
Worst case, you can try your synopsis.
I do know where it is, though. Check this out. It comes. This is kind of interesting. This is a little sneak preview of our Deepin review.
Yeah.
It actually comes pre-installed on Linux Deepin.
Well, that's kind of nice.
I think they're kind of big on the private chat stuff. So if you go into let's see, internet.
Yep.
And then they have IP. Oh, IP. Yeah, IPTux. I could have sworn I installed IPTux last night. IPTux. It is not. You are not going to find an easier local instant messaging setup than this. You run IPTux, it automatically just discovers everybody else that's on the network, right? So no servers configured,
that's
nothing.
That's really nice.
Just it broadcasts, and every other IPTux client on the network automatically shows up. Now here's what's really cool.
All right.
This also supports embedding pictures. So in here you can insert a picture, and it'll send a picture in there. It gives you a little info about the machine you're running on and things like that. So this is very simple and straightforward.
I like it. It's very clean, very easy to use.
Yeah. It's a little simple, but it just.
But that can be a good thing for an enterprise environment, or even a small business, medium-sized business, to where you don't need a lot of bells and whistles. This is the way to go.
Yeah, it is really simple, and it's in everybody's repo.
Right.
Okay, so it's no problem. Now, another way you can go is if you're already using Pigeon for some of your instant messaging needs, you can actually configure very easily local chat over LAN chat in Pigeon. It's already built into every version of Pigeon. If you just go into...
that makes sense. I never thought of that, though.
Go into Accounts. You say Add.
Right.
And the protocol you want is Bonjour. You have to have some of that dynamic DNS goodies installed in the background. But if you select Bonjour here in Pigeon and put in your own username, it'll automatically discover other Pigeon users on your network. So you can see right there's Ange.
And you just select any username at that point, right? Because it's all localized.
Yeah.
You call yourself, whoops.
Well, no, it's fine. So there you go. So there's so that's my private chat with Ange over Bonjour.
That's cool. And it's so easy to do. It's like just enable, you're done, bam, there it is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So and that's no server required.
Right.
You just have to be on the same LAN.
Wow.
XMPP comes in when you want to do cross LAN or when you want to combine it with an app.
That's cool.
So I have my HTC One.
Now the server setup. Are you just select a machine to run as server, or is that, how's that all come together?
Yeah, I just picked one of my Ubuntu servers. I have two Ubuntu servers hooked up to a FreeNAS box. I store everything on the FreeNAS box, and then these Ubuntu machines are sort of like the front end.
So that works. So then you already have a machine already performing server duties. Just do it on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You combine this with now let's talk about mobile.
Now it gets interesting.
Zabber is an open source free XMPP chat client for Android. It's pretty well reviewed too, and you can connect it to your own XMPP server, and then you can participate in the chat server you roll on your Android phone.
I'll see this for businesses. Again, I can see this being really helpful, especially if you've got people maybe that are, on throughout maybe another part of the building. They're not in front of the computer at the time, but you need to get their attention. Cool.
Yeah, I love
really cool.
I love the idea of this for a business.
Now, could this be done in such a way to where maybe they are remoting in? Like, I mean, so basically you can, either VPN or SSH.
You just got to set up the firewall rules, and make sure your XMPP server is secure. Anything you're allowing remote connections
could be cool.
But it's this is why. So one of the reasons I recommend that people go with Porosity is they have package repos for different distributions, and they're keeping it patched. They're keeping it up to date. And at some point, I intend to turn this on to the internet, and I want to maybe even be able to federate and things like that.
Right.
So I wanted to be sure I went with a XMPP server that is getting repo updates.
Right, that's not going to end up dying on you.
Yeah.
A little bit down the road. Sure.
Yeah. So I've got this XMPP client for Android called Zabber. I'll link that in the show notes. It's a really good app. You load it on here, and then you just plug it in. All this stuff is so fast too. When you're doing all, I
couldn't believe how quick it was. It was like, holy cow!
Yeah, that file transfer went great, right?
Local. Don't it's not all about the cloud.
I got one last solution. Maybe you're a total rebel. Maybe
I am.
Maybe you don't even use those old clunky desktops because you're a mobile hipster.
Mobile hipsters.
And you still want to set up your own XMPP server.
Dude. Oh, man.
XMPP server for Android, Matt. Look at that. Look at that. XMPP server for Android.
Do you have a secondary Android device laying around that's not really serving a purpose other than taking up space or working as a doorstop? We have the solution for you.
It's a free, secure, and complete XMPP server. The app supports SSL and TLS. Multiple users can set up automatically to the server. You can even set it up with dynamic DNS updater, so it pings a dynamic DNS service, and it's free.
Oh, dude!
And you can actually
so cool.
It'll run with a little in your little notification area right here that says your XMPP server is operating.
That's cool. That's really cool.
You can have it automatically turn on when it detects a Wi-Fi connection.
Oh man!
And so it detects a Wi-Fi connection. It updates that dynamic DNS service automatically.
It's all Mission Impossible and all that.
Totes,
it's cool. Right?
Totes. So I love the rebel idea. XMPP server in my pocket.
I don't use those computers, man. I got it in my pocket. It's all good.
I thought that was cool. That was good. So there you go. I thought I'd come on this show, and I thought I would spend 15, 20 minutes walking you guys through how to set up an XMPP server. Absolutely unnecessary with Porosity.
That's so cool.
Porosity.
It's just like bam, get it done.
Yeah. Go check that out. That was an awesome little setup. And as you can see, once you pair it with a fully capable XMPP client like Jitsi, you get full video. And by the way, for somebody who's in media production, the fact that I get in Jitsi get to set the video resolution, get to set the video bit rate and the codec details.
You can match everything up nicely.
Power features is very nice. It's a really great combo. So I love whenever I can replace an existing service with something local, something secure and private with at least as good or better functionality. And I feel like with Porosity and Jitsi, it's a real win-win here. And it's got good wife approval too. She's happy with
really
it.
Cool.
Yeah. And so far, she wasn't happy with any of the other clients. She's got to have that picture transfer.
I may look into Jitsi. We had Jitsi in my wife's Mac at one point. I may actually reinstall it and give that another whirl.
Oh yeah, that's a good point to mention too. Is Jitsi's cross-platform Mac, Windows, and Linux.
Yeah.
So
Very
That's another
cool.
nice advantage to it. So go try out your different chat server options.
Love
And
it.
let us know how it works for you guys.
Good stuff.
All right, Matt, that's the Linux Action Show's look at building your own secure private chat server. Last week, it was suggested to us that we check out Linux Deepin. And Matt and I realized it's one of these distributions that we've made reference to a lot,
Yes.
specifically around their software center, but we've never actually kicked the tires on the show.
We were kind of curious as to what really makes it deep.
What makes it,
What makes it deep?
What's deep about Linux Deepin?
Exactly.
It turns out there is quite a bit to the rabbit hole. So version 12.12 came out just a little bit ago, and that's what we loaded up. And you can get it at linuxdeepin.com. And one of the things that jumped out at me is this is made by a group out of China, I believe.
Okay.
And I think the whole development team is from there.
Well, it's cool because you can actually see the development team. They've got the pictures.
Yeah,
and
where
everything.
is that?
It was.
That is on here somewhere.
Yeah, it was somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but you can actually find their development team.
I think
on
it's
here.
below about us.
Our team. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Cool. And that's awesome.
And yeah, you will find as you're going through the distro every now and then, like stuff's in Chinese.
That's
There was
true.
a
But
couple
they had
things.
an English option for most of it, so
yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but everybody on their team's got some good cred. But one of the things that they're doing that's different than everybody else is they actually have the Deepin desktop experience.
They do.
They have rolled their own desktop, as a matter of fact.
They've even rolled a few of their own apps.
And here it is. I would say, if for you audio listeners, if I could just do a little theater of the mind, the picture I would paint for you is imagine, maybe Matt, what do you think? If you took a little anime,
Right.
and you took Windows 7 Arrow, and you
Right.
said, instead of screwing the pooch and throwing everything out that we did with Windows 7 and making Metro,
Yep.
we're going to evolve Windows 7 so that it looks even better. And we'll take that. They introduced that new start
Yeah.
menu in Windows 7. We'll
Yeah.
grow that to the next iteration. It's almost like
I could see that.
if Windows 7, instead of crapping the bed, had a whole nother iteration of that design.
They implemented diapers into this situation to where it actually contained everything nicely.
So here's an example.
See, and
Here's
I
the-
took a different approach. I said it looked a little bit more like Zombu and Linspire had a love child.
I can see that too.
A little bit of that going on.
And one of the things that's interesting is they have their own. So this is the Deepin desktop environment. You can see here they've got a standard nice glass-like bar with notifications in there. And
One thing I didn't notice is where's the update alerts? Short of actually opening up.
yeah, no, I didn't. No,
Yeah, couldn't
no,
find that.
No, but why don't? So they
Okay.
we'll get. So here's their launcher,
Right.
and they kind of. If you're familiar with Launchpad on OS 10, it reminds me a lot of that, or with a cross meeting of GNOME 3, right?
Yeah, it kind of feels a little GNOME / Unity / GNOME. I mean,
Slash Launchpad.
Yeah, / Launchpad.
A little bit.
A little
It's
bit.
got that. Not quite Launchpad, I suppose, but. They have a set of their own custom applications.
They do.
They have a DMusic, which is their own music manager, Deepin Music.
Yeah, makes sense.
As it would, yeah.
Oh, and splash screens. I think that's something worth touching on when you open these
Everything.
apps.
And I guess these splash screens are to kind of tell you a little bit about how they
And
operate.
then where to start.
But I
yeah.
don't find them particularly instructional.
Well, and I think they need to be disabled after a first launch. I think they're irritating after a while. Because, I mean, you can hit start or you can close the splash screen, but, whatever.
Very fast, though, once it gets
Very
up and running.
fast, very attractive.
And here's D Player, their video player. You can see again with the splash screens.
Apparently, yeah.
Tells you Control O to open a file. Right?
That's
I
good.
mean,
Good to know.
it's good in a sense, like if you've never used the software before, it gives you a little idea of what this is capable of. This is their thing. But I think the thing that stands out the most, besides the fact that they've done their own desktop environment here, which I believe is using Compiz, by the way.
It looks like it, yeah.
Is the Deepin Software Center. And let's open this one up. And
This is where just absolutely everything is done pretty much right.
it's interesting. It's a fixed width application, so you can't maximize it or anything like that. But you get probably one of the better looking app stores out there in general.
I would say so on multiple levels. For one thing, everything whether you're going from home to upgrade to uninstall to installation, you have 4 options to not get lost
It's
in.
faster than the Ubuntu Software
It
Center.
is.
The installations there, I just clicked install. I can continue to browse.
And when you click something to install, it jumps. I
Yeah.
don't know if you noticed that. It
Yeah.
actually jumps into the little installation section.
Yep, and
Crazy.
it's got, and I can continue to browse while it's going about doing its thing. I can just click right here as I'm going. I was like, oh, you know what, I want that. And you just click it as you're browsing. This is how the Ubuntu Software Center needs to be, because maybe I'm just a binge installing apps. I want to check out a bunch of different stuff. I like the idea of just click, click, click. Oh, I got that. Oh, I got that.
Yeah.
Here's Acid Rip. Oh, yeah, I want Acid Rip. Boom. Click it. You've got it, and it's downloading, it's installing. Or here's VLC. Maybe I want VLC. I click it. Boom. It's downloading, it's installing.
Well, and the other thing that stands out to me, too, is the way they do the graphics. That in the Ubuntu Software Center, if you're a proprietary game, you're probably going to have some nice graphics. Everything else seems like it gets shortchanged somehow. Every single app in the Software Center has great-looking graphics. I couldn't get over that.
In this? Yeah. And even like if you hit like an
everything.
error, if you go to the wrong spot, they've got like nice little error messages and drawings that come up.
It's cute, yeah.
Hand touch stuff. There is somebody going through this with a designer's touch and just polishing every single aspect of it.
I mean, like Bluefish. I mean, it's like a FreeMind. All this stuff has really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
good presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I also like that you can log, because you can see a little Chinese sneaks in every now and then.
Powered by blah blah.
But you wouldn't. It doesn't affect like anything you're doing. And you can also log into the Deepin Software Center and retrieve your previous purchases and downloads, which is nice. Yeah. And also, I don't know how this is exactly working. It's probably PolicyKit or something. But you notice it never prompted me for my password to run it, and it's never prompted me for my password to install anything.
It almost makes you wonder: is this truly a Linspire situation where you're running as root? You know, I mean, I don't
think so.
I didn't get the feel for it because I was able to sudo, but
right, you have to sudo to do updates and stuff.
So it's kind of like, how are they? Is it like a tweaked PolicyKit kind of thing? I don't know.
I like it. Now, the chat room doesn't like the theme, but I actually think it's okay if you're coming from a Windows 7 world.
Here's my take on the theme. For myself, probably not. For someone that's coming from Windows, or maybe one of my family members or something like that, that really does want that kind of appearance to it, especially coming from Windows. Yeah, I could definitely see some benefits there. Not for me, but definitely for other folks.
Now, I think one thing to touch on too. Now, we've mentioned it's based on. I don't know if we did mention this. It's based on Ubuntu. This one's based on. It's Deepin 12.12, based on Ubuntu 13.04.
Oh, weird. Okay, that could get a little confusing.
And the desktop environment is shortened to just DDE. Here is their system settings area. Again, very Windows-ish. Like if I go into displays.
Well, yeah, and how it like does it at the top there, you know.
Doesn't that remind you of the Windows 7?
Totally does. It's like, and I think that's the takeaway here, is that this is for people you're trying to get off of Windows. That's a really good,
very good, very easy to use though. Like,
whoa, yeah.
Like, look, look how that's actually pretty advanced.
I mean, it's
feature.
like,
I can clone my MAC address right there. That's actually,
and it's not, you're not getting lost trying to do it.
Right.
New connection, existing connection. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I wish some people would take some of this code. Like, and they're using Ubuntu in parts, like this additional drivers. This is obviously
totally.
That's the canonical tool right there. Right?
They've taken whatever it is.
Yeah, they've taken it and they've just tweaked it a little bit. It's all good.
Let's see the touchpad. That's a big tear for me usually with a lot of distros. Oh, not bad.
Yeah, I don't have a touchpad on this machine that we're demoing.
Settings link. You got a mouse settings link as well.
That is nice, isn't it?
That's the little niceties that I think a lot of casual users are wanting. So.
This UI is so Windows 7 evolved, and I don't mean that in any bad way, because there's some elements to Windows 7 that I think are actually pretty good. There
are definitely, and there are some elements I don't care for, but I think that if you have a person that you're trying to get off of Windows, and their whole argument is that I can't do the KDE thing, I can't do the GNOME thing, I can't do the other desktops, this third-party desktop might be a great way to make that migration happen.
It feels slick.
Yeah, it feels slick. It's easy to handle. It's attractive, for what it is attractive. That doesn't mean it's for everybody, but it is not an ugly desktop.
Check this out. One thing that's kind of neat is you see these percentages here. So they have these tutorials that they've included with the system.
Seriously?
Yeah.
See, this is great, because then you're not getting tech support calls in the middle of the night going, I don't understand.
So they also so they demonstrate like how you can, kind of like in iOS, you can do folders with their application launcher.
That's interesting.
Let's play with that a little bit. So if I took gedit
and dropped it
maybe on top of calc, does it? No,
maybe it's on the desktop. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know.
Try it on the desktop. Try putting.
No, I think it's in the launcher. See, application group. Drag and drop your favorite applications to create an app group. I think it's in the launcher. But either way, what I want to show you, which is and very good growl-like notifications. You can right-click on files and send them now. Okay, now watch. Now if I go back though, see how I get a percentage complete on the tutorial.
You know where you were at on the tutorial itself.
So you can go through this. You can see how far you've made it through the tutorial. All right. So if I right-click on Skype here, I can say add to auto start, send to dock, send to desktop, or hide this application.
That's nice.
Cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool.
That's not bad.
I still want to know how you make a folder.
I still think it's desktop. I'm willing to bet money.
I don't believe it.
I think it is. Yeah, I bet you money.
All right, so what do you think? I do this on the desktop?
Yeah. Okay, I lied.
Girl, you crazy.
I was wrong.
Girl, you crazy. That just makes a folder. But So Deepin, it's interesting if you want Ubuntu, but you want something totally unique.
I would say go for the because it's not exactly Windows. It's definitely got some differences. So it's very unique. It's very different. You want something just fun, different to try. You're not really a Mint person. Ubuntu makes you want to gag, but you like the back end of Ubuntu.
Yeah.
This might be something to look at.
I find it kind of interesting how every now and then I don't want to call them a hole in the wall distribution. That's reductive, but there's a lot of little surprises that can come out of niches in the Linux community that you just don't expect. This is one of them. If you're somebody who likes to just check out different distros, you sort of enjoy that. That's sort of a pleasure for you, then I would definitely put this one on your list.
I would definitely,
VirtualBox compatibilities.
VirtualBox compatibility is painful. Avoid it. Try VMware.
Compiz.
Yeah, I think it's Compiz.
Yeah. VMware works. We're doing this one in VMware, and obviously native's going to be your best.
Oh, native's definitely going to be the best way to go about it. I think it's worth exploring. And like I said, this isn't necessarily going to be something that you yourself are going to jump all over, especially Arch users and whatnot. But I think that you have family members that if you get one more Windows call, you're going to scream.
Or a small business office. Maybe you've got some front end machines.
Exactly. And these people are familiar with the Windows experience. This is the way to go.
Yeah. So check it out.
Check it out.
Deepin, and it comes from the heart of China.
Gotta love that.
I'm sure we'll get somebody with a conspiracy theory about it having bugs installed.
It's open source. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Before we move on, I want to take a second and thank our segment sponsor, and that is Untangle. Go to untangle.com/las. Now, Untangle firewalls work flawlessly once you have them installed. That's one of the things that's great because you can set it and forget it once you have that machine going on. If you grab one of their U-series appliances, you could probably have that thing up and running, protecting your network in less than 10 minutes.
I like that.
With superior content filtering capabilities that go way beyond competitive products, you can go to untangle.com/las. And right there in the middle, download the Untangle ISO. You load that on your own box.
And you take control. There you are.
So you just kick the tires, see what it can do, and check out that pretty interesting. This UI, for you old-time server guys who used to install machines into racks back in the day, maybe you still do that actually, it essentially is like adding service components to a rack. You have your content filter, you have your Squid proxy, you have your AV, and you're adding these different components to a rack, and then they all work together. And Untangle software magically combines everything, does all the routing for you, handles all of the updates and the service subscriptions. And if you use the code LAST20 when you're checking out over at untangle.com, you'll save 20% off a 1-year or greater subscription for a lot of their great content systems.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
So thanks to Untangle for sponsoring this segment of the Linux Action Show. And go to untangle.com/LAS.
Nice.
All right, Matt. Well, that's the Linux Action Show's look at Deepin Linux. And that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast. But, Matt, I thought maybe we'd cover some emails before we get out of here.
All right.
I do want to just note one particular thing. This is kind of our community segment of the show, and I just wanted to note the passing of Seth Vital.
I believe so.
That's how you say his last name. The creator of Yum, a Fedora developer, was killed in a hit and run last week. And kind of, one of those things where we had just reviewed Fedora 19, and you and I both had a lot of praise for how great Yum has become.
It has. Yum is awesome.
Yeah.
And large in part because of this man.
So very sad to hear that, and our thoughts go out to Thess family and the Fedora project, too, who I'm sure is taking this very hard.
It's one of their own, I can only imagine.
I guess the person did turn themselves in, but very sad.
Yeah, too little, too late.
Yeah. So. A great contributor to the open source community. And Yum, actually, the people know this, but Yum actually stands for Yellow Dog Update Manager. Yellow Dog was the old PowerPC Linux distribution that Fedora, glommed onto and extended that on, and has just made it. Yum is one of the, it has taken what used to be almost impossible to manage RPMs on Fedora and made it a very pleasant experience. Vishwaj writes in. He's got a question. I thought maybe we'd bounce this off the chat room because I know we've talked about this before, but I cannot remember what the answer was. He says, hey guys, is there a solution for a per process QoS? I mean, when I do an HTTP download, I can't browse the web. It's no use to prioritize traffic based on the protocol in this case because he's just using up all his connection. So I need to be able to give Firefox processes higher and give wget a lower priority. Now, he's not talking CPU priority. He's talking bandwidth priority.
Right.
He says in using Windows, he uses the CFOS speed software. So in Linux, he said it should be possible because in Linux, everything can be done.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't know how to do it.
Would that be, and terrible. I'm not a networking guy, so don't butcher me on this. But would that maybe be an IP tables kind of thing?
If you had like a firewall, you could,
I mean, that's the only thing that comes to, unless there's another another back-end way of doing that. I just don't know how you would.
I'm trying to remember I think it's called Trickle.
Trickle. Oh,
Trickle.
yeah.
Trickle is a user space bandwidth manager.
Okay.
A portable, lightweight user space bandwidth shaper. It runs in collaborative mode with Trickle D, or in standalone mode, you can just run it in the command line. It works by taking advantage of the Unix loader preloading. Essentially, it provides to the application a new version of functionality is required and sends and receives data through sockets. It limits traffic based on delaying the sending and receiving data over a socket. Trickle runs entirely in user space and does not even require root privileges.
That's cool.
That's what
so
he wants.
You can be like Comcast. That's cool. That's neat.
Thank you. Who mentioned Trickle first? I think it was Pelota.
That is awesome.
Pelota, Pataloa.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pataloa, whatever your name is in the chat room.
Yeah.
I think Trickle do. There's been another one we've mentioned too,
That's
and I
cool.
just can't remember what it is.
Well, this sounds like it'd be just the ticket form.
An Untangle box. You go get
Absolutely.
that. You could download the Untangle ISO, load that on a machine, and you could also have it kill.
Has a nice GUI to do it right.
See, he wants per process because he wants to be able to do wget over HTTP and Firefox over HTTP. So that's why he wants something local.
I think Untangle definitely has an app that will do that for you.
They will Trickle, or you can go even farther and
Good stuff.
play with Untangle. So
That's a lot.
Ave writes in. It says, "Hey, Chris and Matt, I just started watching Linux Action Show because a friend recommended it to me. He
Right
also
on.
watches a lot of Plan B, Unfilter, and Last.
Wow.
Sounds like a good man.
stuff.
I just want to know what your opinion is on Android x86, and do you think it's useful and fun to play around with? Have you played with it?
No, I've never really had a compelling reason to. It's interesting. I think if you're asking the question, then I think yes. I think you should because obviously you are curious about it. If you're not asking the question, then probably not.
I am surprised. I think this has been one of my bigger failed predictions. Is I honestly thought we'd have netbooks running Android by this point. x86 Android.
Well, and I think because of its Google roots, I think that Chrome OS is kind of taking root there.
It is fun to play with.
Sure.
You can download Android x86. You can toss it in a VM. The only kind of downside that I've seen, at least last time I looked at it, is no Play apps, no Google stuff.
And because of that, at that point, you might as well just AirDroid your existing Android device and play with it there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about as close as you're going to get.
I can't remember if I was able to load the Amazon App Store or not. That would help.
That'd be helpful because at least you can get something on there, right?
Yeah. Get a good app or two.
Yeah.
Adam writes in with some funding stuff and some game stuff. He says, "Hey guys, thanks for the great show. I never or rarely miss an episode of Last." He says, "Sometimes I intend to save time and just go to a specific part, but always end up getting hooked on the whole show."
Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right
He's
on.
got some small pick after a great Android pick segment. Every
Okay.
time you call an app free, I always wonder, why is it free? I think it'd be worth mentioning the funding model for free apps. Is it ad supported or has a paid version with additional features? I think I kind of do tend to do that. Basically, he says, I'm suspicious about apps that are free, and I don't know why. Somebody written in but put the work into it, so it seems like he or she is not getting any money for it. I begin to think of maybe their intentions, and maybe they're not so honest. He talks about an Android app that was reviewed a while ago called Wi-Fi Explorer. He said he switched from another app to Wi-Fi Explorer because it was free, and free software isn't free as speech.
Right. Yeah.
And I agree. Whenever you can, use free. It's free open source app.
And of course, when an app's being installed on Android, it does give you a general idea what it's going to be doing on your system. You can kind of go over that. And there's also a tool, and I can't think of the name of the life of me, that actually will tell you what an app is doing. What's that called?
I know. I made it a pick.
I can't think of what
Lookout will do it. There's a couple.
Yeah,
other
Lookout's
ones.
good. I run Lookout on my system anyway. So.
He's got one more thought. He says, after you did a news item on that natural selection game, I'm also very excited about a game coming to Linux called Battlezone. It's one of my favorite games ever, and this game seems to be a similar kind of first-person shooter with RTS where you can go overhead, too, like we were talking about. He says he also agrees that Alien vs. Predator was one of the coolest first-person shooters ever.
Yeah.
Cheers, Adam
Very
from
cool.
Poland.
Right on.
Yeah. And
stuff.
one last one from Sweden. Pierre sent this in via bit message.
Right on.
Got a couple of actually. See if I pull it up right now. Just so you guys know, if you sent me a bit message, I've gotten them, but I'm a little behind on the bit messages.
So they're being received. It's just you'll be responding to
you
the
can
order
see
received.
the ones that are bold are the ones I
Holy
haven't read yet.
cow.
But look, all the ones that came into last. We're getting more and more every week. It's really
Wow.
awesome. So sorry, I've been a little slow on that this week, but I'll catch up.
Cool.
So Pierre writes and he says, "Hi Chris, I've added you to my bit message subscription list, and I watch and listen to all of your shows, and recently signed up for a PayPal subscription." Thank you,
Nice.
sir.
Very cool.
The NSA has really stirred things up, huh? Maybe 2013 will be the year of the Linux widespread adoption thanks to the NSA. Built-in backdoors of Microsoft products isn't very compelling, and there's quite a bit of buzz about it here in Sweden. About abandoning American software and services at that. Linux has given us Linux is given also Ribitel, a Skype replacement. So the future will tell. Best regards, Piers in Sweden.
I've heard of it. I've not. That name sounds really familiar. I think I may have heard of that.
This is something we have a very we're very U.S. focused here in the U.S. But you got to wonder how these companies feel when like they're dependent on Windows or they're dependent on software that could have backdoors built into it by the manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's
opportunity
a company that's just innocently, or like you get into a boycott situation, even the company that is doing the right thing that gets looped into that, it gets kind of fuzzy.
I wonder if we're going to see more and more adoption of open source software because of
Hope
it.
so.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be nice.
All right, Matt. Well, where can people find you throughout the week?
As always, you can find me at datamation.com. Scroll down to open source, and I'm doing one comparison or another, one time or another. And as always, you can find me on Facebook. And Matt Hartley Public.
Yeah. So that app was called Rebitel.
Rebtel.
Rebtel.
Cheap international calls from Rebtel. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cheap international calls. Now, but it seems like anything that's like a commercial product like that is going to probably be susceptible to tampering.
Yeah.
Don't know.
But I think it's also priority based.
Worth checking out, though.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, you're right. If they don't know about it, they might not.
They may not care because it takes a certain level of investment.
You don't know when that moment switches to when they do care.
Right.
Like we found out this week that Skype has been monitored since 2010, and at some point they even got video. Like they can actually watch the video.
Wow,
that's
makes you want to put on a show.
Yeah. Hopefully they're watching TechSnap and some of our other shows right there to get in the live feed. So that about brings us to the end of this week's episode. Now we could, like I mentioned at the top of the show, have some scheduled funniness coming up with the new baby on the way. So go over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar.
Subscribe to the calendar. And also,
you can just add it to your Google Calendar.
Super easy. Won't interfere with your regular stuff. Or you can make sure to follow the social feeds as well.
Yeah.
One of those two options will ensure that you're not going, where's the show?
Totally. I also want to remind folks, you can help support the network and help us defray some of our costs. Over the weekend, I had 2 drives pop in the storage array, so I'm going to be spending a bunch of money on that. I swear, about every 6 months, I need to buy about 12 terabytes of storage. So I got a lot of little, like, kind of buy 2-3 drives here, buy new lights here, buy a Mac Pro here. A lot of little things coming up. So if you want to help us defray some of the costs, I just want to remind you, you can go to jupiterbroadcasting.com. At the bottom of our website, we have our affiliate links down there for Amazon, Netflix, Newegg, ThinkGeek, Best Buy, Code School.
Everything you can think of.
Yeah, and if you click those before you shop, it'll tag your shopping session, and a portion of your overall purchase is contributed to Jupiter Broadcasting. We also have Chrome and Firefox extensions. Those tag even more sites than we have listed down there, like Monoprice.
And what's awesome about both those and the extensions is once you use them, you can go ahead and do what you normally do. You don't have to remember any weird codes or anything like that. It just takes care of it.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
And it's just a small way to give us a little support while you're getting yourself something. And then we take that money, that revenue from that, and it directly pays a lot of our services, a lot of the infrastructure stuff. So in a very real-world sense, the audience of Jupiter Broadcasting helps finance some of the core infrastructure that makes us stay on the air.
That's right.
So it's really appreciated when you guys can help us out with that. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning to this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. We'll see you right back here next week. Hey, guys. I'm having a hard time focusing on all the Linux. Your microphones are too big. And Rock, I'm all.
Just need a cron job that does got it, thanks, auto replies or something.
I really hope the BitMessage takes off because, man, it's all of the great things that about email fixed, all the things I don't like, without having to have a mail server. It solves that local.
It's all the things that like RSS was a big promise that never really happened. So I think that this is kind of the messaging side of that to where it's. I agree with you. Made sense in my head when I said it, but I know what I mean, so it's okay.
Well, and it's really neat how it does that with the other thing.
It does stuff.
And
that was important.
And it doesn't need a thing, so it's just based on the how you do with the thing.
And it does stuff here in my area.
Yeah,
it's like all up in my grill.
As far as I can tell, it's going to do that probably fairly well.
And if they get that other thing to help with the stuff,
you think they're gonna though?
I don't know. I mean, it's like they totally got to hook up with that other deal. To make the thing happen with the stuff.
And gosh, I don't know. That stuff has never really worked that well with the thingy, and then you got to connect.
Well, the doohickeys the big issue there because they're all like.
Well, who makes the doohickey?
That's true.
And the guy that makes the thing's always blaming the guy that makes the doohickey.
Well, the do-thinger's coming from the doohickey. Yeah, it gets fuzzy there. It's a little fuzzy.
All right,
you guys following all that?
I guess I could close Steam. So I like video games. So this week has been a combination of playing too much with FreeNAS, playing too much with KDE, and playing too many video games, and not getting enough sleep. And then this is what you get.
What happens?
This is what you get, everybody.
Wow.